T-Fit here with Fit Bully TV. I appreciate everybody who went and copped fat blocks. Now, if you didn't know this, it was proven in a study over 18 German Shepherds that when they removed fat, first and foremost from rats, the rats got more aggressive. When they added omega-3's fat back, it calmed them down. One of the reasons why I wanted a protein, aka an amino, something that helps build the pups, super critical, especially when going through mitosis. I wanted to make sure the dogs had plenty of joint support because through that stage, those stages of mitosis and ossification and so many other things, the dogs are constantly growing. You want to make sure they're getting the proper nutrition. And it's been proven also beyond a reasonable doubt, when a dog doesn't have the minerals it needs, it breaks down its own bones to support its own growth. And you don't want that problem. And then finally, a fat. Now, here's the challenge. I'd be lying if I told you need to give this in every meal. This is 3 to 4 times a week. And it tells you how many squirts. Why? Because if you do use salmon, it can kill one of the B vitamins. And when the pup's born, especially through the first year, you need all vitamins. So Jamal, him and Kat switched their dogs to a better food. Now, go ahead and tell a little bit of the story. You had Dolce for some time. You had her on kibble.
Yeah.
And it was wrecking your house.
Yeah.
What was that like first, just waking up every day, cleaning up poop?
Oh my God. Solid poops I could deal with. Complete blowouts, just insane. I would walk downstairs. At this time, we were in a stacked condominium in Las Colinas, so those are just going up. I go downstairs where I had her at, man, and I'm talking about the whole wall painted in brown, whatever kind of color you think of. It was horrible. We had to figure it out. We had to figure it out fast. I got with Trev, and he would give me some pointers on what to give the dogs. We switched their diets, played with a few things. I know when you do that, you have to deal with the transition, but no kibble was seeming to really do it for too much, gave us that substance until we put her on that raw diet and started really looking at the different ingredients and the different type of food mixtures we gave to help with our overall balance.
Now, you've had dogs before, but as we'll just say a new pet owner, somebody give you a dog and every day it's wrecking your house. And even recently, she had a little bit of a blowout. A little bit of a blowout, little discouraging to say the least. Did it ever cross your mind like, I gotta get rid of this dog?
No, just very highly annoyed. I love the dogs too much, man. So getting rid of them, no. But in that moment, it's like shit. This is ridiculous. I just like to figure it out because that is the worst smell to wake up to. Middle of a deep slumber, you get up, go hit the stairs, shit, and she just hiding in the kennel because she felt like she did wrong. She can't help it. It's not her fault. And then there's a lot of cleaning up that comes with that.
Guys, and a lot of kibble does lead to high inflammation. But again, even EPAs and omega-3s, and again, I'm gonna show you this here. It regulates synaptic plasticity. Objectively, a lot of times, especially when we start talking about neurotransmission and all that brain function, I would go as far to tell you to stack this with using lion's mane mushroom 3 times a week. Neurotransmitters. You'd be surprised, and maybe you wouldn't be surprised, maybe you're just uninformed, how much cognitive skills a dog has when being properly trained. A cognitive skill is objectively you being able to show the dog something and it pick up on it. A non-cognitive skill is leadership. You put us all in the pack and someone steps up to lead, that's a non-cognitive skill. A skill that you have to basically have in you in a sense. And then in situations, we see those things come out of our dogs and say, oh, he's gonna lead the pack. And then we work on those things, giving them markers. But one thing I've learned about EPAs, DHA, and even more important omega-3s, again, I'm reading it upside down. It says, a study of 18 aggressive German Shepherds showed lower omega-3 concentration, higher omega-3 concentration for the copious plant ingredients, resulting in higher omega-3s. Basically, it caused more issues. And it increased their learning ability when they added omega-3s. And we already know, when I was a kid, my grandmother had this small handbook, it was blue, and we had a German Shepherd. I had one named Tank, one named Ringo. It said the dog could hold 36 commands. Now I thought that was something, and then on Top Dog USA, John K9 had a dog that he said knew almost 100 tricks, and it was a border collie. I think collies are some of the smartest dogs on earth. Next to the poodle, who they consider, depending on who you talk to, as number one. So, for one, get you some omega-3s. Ask questions if you have more questions. Interpreting this information a lot of time, I don't always show you guys the books, but every now and then I drop the books, because realistically, if you don't understand nutrition, it's like a doctor, as somebody who goes to school as a doctor and then doesn't go and do any practice. If you don't practice and learn from your mistakes, or not the best choices, or making better choices, or even a few accidents, a couple wrong incisions, hopefully it's not you, but some things are going to go wrong for you to go right. And if you don't know how to interpret nutrition and the impact of it, you can literally cause more harm and damage to your dog. And even in this book, some of his favorite bones, this is the guy who did 10 years of studying on raw feeding, were oxtails. Well, we know that when I gave Cha-Cha and Bam Bam oxtails, they almost died, because they just want to swallow them things whole. It also would tell you, hey, chicken breasts are good. Well, Cha-Cha and Bam Bam trying to swallow whole chicken breasts, so I start cutting it up. Ego and Tron can swallow a chicken breast and they fine. Doesn't harm them at all. Bigger dogs. So you learn all these frightening things in these moments when your dog's potentially on their way out. So, as I repeat, and look, last but not least, Dolce threw up, right? This is a perfect example of this. She was fed, let's say, what, 9, 10, 11 o'clock that night before?
Yep.
So I told you guys that digestion is everything, and it takes the dogs upwards of 12 hours for it to process and digest its food. Well, within the following day, not only did she not digest the food after a rough walk, she threw up everything she had the night before, which means it hadn't even gone through the processing plant, aka the stomach. Because after 12 hours of digestion, the body breaks it down, turns it into what we know as a liquid, because that's what the stomach is. The stomach's literally just a blender, basically, with a lot of acid. Then it releases itself into the small intestine. Small intestine is where a lot of absorption of nutrients takes place. Large intestine, and then there's even some putrefaction that takes place in the colon, which means, colon cancer, what happens, especially with people who don't eat a lot of vegetables, there's meat per se. It's not meat, but that last process, that stuff putrefies. And there's still some absorption that takes place even when you're excreting, aka going through your colon. Point is this: in the 12 hours, all of her food showed up. It wasn't liquid, it wasn't bile, it was chicken legs.
There's some vegetables, yeah.
It was the food she had, and then, mind you, I've said this before, feed your dogs 12 hours before, then work them. So what do? I feed 10, 11 at night. What do? They work in the afternoon. By that time, the body should have gone through its process and literally begin to give them the energy they need without causing any frustration in their gut, especially if they get to an overheated state, which we unfortunately found she has a limit. She has a limit, and it wasn't super hot. So stay tuned, take care of your dogs. Remember, 12-hour increments. Some of you guys are overfeeding, some of you are causing gastrointestinal inflammation, some of you are still feeding dog food, so feel free to get you some puppy blocks, Fortified, and fat blocks to assist in improving your dog's quality of life long term.